YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with another NFL offseason plan video. This one for the San Francisco 49ers, playing GM, making moves in the offseason with cuts, free agency, and a 7-round NFL mock draft. Doing this video for every single NFL team. Actually did it for 30 other teams, just the Niners and the Chiefs to do. There's a whole playlist full of them. Plenty of other NFL content. We got you covered for free agency and the NFL draft. And then we have two channels. The Goat House Plus is our newer channel. Go ahead and click that link in the description and comments to subscribe to that. That would help us out a bunch. You'll also find a link down below to our Twitter and Instagram. Daily posts on there, always talking football, answering any questions on Twitter as well. And then for the Combine, which is coming up, you're going to want to follow those. We'll be posting live during that Combine on reactions. And then we'll have our recap videos here on YouTube. And then something new, we actually have a podcast, one episode out, plenty more to come. We're already on Spotify. You'll find the link down below, and we're being reviewed for Apple Podcasts there. And then if you go to our Patreon, which is a link in the description, you can see the podcast in video form along with other NFL content extra there from the Goat House. Just search the Goat House podcast on those platforms there. And then first thing I like to do for this video is kind of take a look at the depth, evaluate it. Guys in red are free agents here for the Niners. And then receiver, interesting position because, do they have that legit number one? I think that, they did, I think, with Emmanuel Sanders and Deebo Samuel. And Deebo Samuel will continue to be that. In my opinion, you need multiple number ones. Can you afford Sanders back? We'll see if I choose to get him back. Kendrick Bourne is actually going to be a restricted free agent. I do like Kendrick Bourne's game. But why it's an interesting position is because, you got guys like Dante Pettis coming back, Jalen Hurd. I like Hurd a lot. It's just about staying healthy. That was kind of the thing in his college career and now obviously as well. But he's a very impressive prospect there. Not a whole bunch of time at receiver, and really, the last year in Baylor really started to figure it out. So can't wait to see Jalen Hurd, actually. Hopefully he stays healthy. Look at the offensive line. I think the offensive line's kind of interesting, too. I think it's a really good scheme, a really good system for the offensive line. So, for the most part they played very well, especially in run blocking. Pass protection, for the most part, I thought they were very solid, but there was times where they slipped up. You could be looking to get better for the future at left tackle. You could be looking to get better at possibly right guard for right now, but for the most part, it's a pretty solid system. They seem to find the right guys to put in there. George Kittle being one of the better tight ends in football, but something interesting I think is actually a bigger need than people realize is another tight end, and another one to pair with George Kittle can make that offense, that much better. And then running backs, they do have some free agents, but, I like the room that they got there. Looking at the defense, which I think was the best defense in football last year, some key free agents, not a whole bunch, but some key ones, and they'll probably look to focus on the secondary, even though it's already pretty solid. So we'll see what I have planned for them here. Making cuts, it's tough to cut Jerick McKinnon, actually. He's been on the Niners for 2 years, hasn't played. And why it's tough is because I think he fits Shanahan's system so perfectly. That's why he brought him in. I really think before he got hurt, McKinnon was probably one of the top-tier receiving backs, the backs that catch the ball out of the backfield, one of the faster backs in football as well. How will this sitting out 2 years and the injuries affect him? You have other running backs that kind of proven that can play. So $4.5 million on the line here. When you're at 12.2, you're a little short on cap. I think you go ahead and do it. And Marquise Goodwin, who I like, one of the fastest, maybe the fastest guy in football, definitely a weapon. But you already have a bunch of these receivers. Like, they're solid receivers. You already have a bunch of these guys, so it's cut him. You already have those guys, and it's kind of, if you're going to get another receiver, it's kind of maybe go for that big-time receiver, but your room's pretty good already. And a guy, if he can guarantee to stay healthy, then yeah, you keep him. But you need cap space pretty bad, so I cut a guy like this. I thought about a guy like Solomon Thomas, but kind of keep him in there in that rotation because they like to move, and Armstead is a free agent, but they like to move him around in and out. So I think it's key to have Thomas possibly there in a rotation, but that's a guy to look out for as well. Who I'm re-signing, Arik Armstead, was so key to this team this year. All the credit's really going, the interior guys get credit, but a lot of the credit's going to the edge guys, mainly Bosa, which they deserve credit. But the interior pressure, that Armstead got, when he was coming from the inside was so key in big moments. And we'll see what kind of money he gets, but he fits this defense so perfectly. I think he would like to be back, so maybe he would take a little bit cheaper to come back here than to go somewhere else. So, that's where you kind of spend your money, but you're really limited on cap here. You're pretty much I mean, yeah, you're close to almost out here. Kendrick Bourne, I really like Kendrick Bourne. Improvement every single week, really. I think he's a very good route runner. Kind of he's a restricted free agent, but one of those sneaky receiver guys here that can really, really take that leap, I think. I really like Kendrick Bourne. So I would like for them to get him back, but they do have a bunch of those receivers. But they do have, the injury guys. Pettis, Hurd. So I think they should definitely get him back. And Sheldon Day is a rotation guy that, I think's been very good for them in the interior defensive line. So they can get him back cheaper. Didn't work out elsewhere. I think he would like to be back. So that's the good news. Like, those two guys will be cheaper. But you let Jimmy Ward walk. That's a possibility, who had a big year for them. But yeah, they could look to go cheaper that way. And younger to major re-signings. So not a whole bunch of major signings here, because you're after signing Armstead, which I think is a priority. You don't have a whole bunch left. Like I said, they could use one more guard that could potentially start. You don't have the money to get the for sure starter, but Hal Vite from the Eagles has experience, and that's coming from a really good offensive line too. So they can get him on the cheaper route, can potentially start right away. A veteran like Josh Norman to put opposite of Richard Sherman, I think would make a lot of sense. Just a small deal, 1-year deal, cheaper contract. He wants to go somewhere where he can win. It could be cheaper. I do like Emmanuel Mosley. I still, I don't doubt Weatherspoon, but a little off, but I like the way Emmanuel Mosley played. So this might not be 100% necessary, but I would like another veteran, opposite of Richard Sherman, because it felt like I liked Emmanuel Mosley, but it felt like they were insisting on, Witherspoon or maybe not playing Mosley a lot of the time. So I don't know if they really like him that much, so they may want to go for that another veteran route, the coaching staff. So, and then Dennis Kelly's a guy with starter potential, another I'd say backup offensive tackle, but he's probably better than a lot of starters in the league right now. That could be cheaper, and I really thought about cutting Joe Staley because you save big time on the cap. So that's a decision you'll have to make. But will you be able, if you cut him, will you be able to look for a new starter? What will be he missed some games last year, and they were kind of all right without him, but. So that's why I kind of just get the guys that can potentially start and that could be cheaper at the same time, and then could take over when, say, a Staley's gone next year. So I think that's pretty key for them. The great news about the Niners is and that's why they're in the Super Bowl. They really don't have needs. They may have a need if Armstead's gone, and you can consider some of these positions needs, but they don't really have a whole bunch of needs. Probably the least amount in the game right now. So that's the good thing. Then you go into the draft and. I would love Xavier McKinney for them, but he was off the board at this point. Grant Delpit still on the board, and I would like for them to take him in this scenario to replace Jimmy Ward. Can do a lot of similar things. You can kind of compare the two, really. Delpit, the reason he's started to drop a little bit, before the season, kind of known as a top 10 pick possibly, and that's just because his playmaking abilities, instincts, and those are the stuff, those are the traits you really got to like. But yeah, missing some tackles is kind of the crucial part, the part that hurts a little bit, but a big-time playmaker, you can't coach instincts, play recognition, and that's what he has, so he would take over that role there for Jimmy Ward, and I really like Harrison Bryant for them. I think that'll be a good duo with George Kittle, and having another tight end in the system would make this offense that much better, that much sneakier. So I like Bryant a lot. People, I suppose are sleeping on him a bit. I think they need cornerback depth pretty bad. Harrison Hand, pretty solid pick here. Could be a good rotation guy for the future. And another one where they need depth. They have their starters, but they don't have a whole bunch of depth on the actual edge there. Michael Divinity can kind of be that D4 depth, and he has a lot of upside as well because he missed some time this year, and there's just so much other talent that kind of gets the recognition. Divinity can play. He can kind of be that D4 rotation guy, and then getting A.J. Dillon, you're going to lose some running backs. Breida's going to go. Even a guy like Jeff Wilson can go. It's going to, it could possibly be Mostert and Tevin Coleman, which Coleman maybe doesn't have, he could play for a few more years for sure, but you want a big running. Shanahan wants the big running back room, and you kind of want to look out for the future. And then A.J. Dillon, who, once was thought of being a first-round pick, but, I guess lacking the speed, it kind of hurts a little bit what makes him drop, but they would like him very much in that system. And then they could be looking for more of a pass catching back too. You can see them go for either one. That big back that has a lot of potential in him still. Again, was thought of as a first round pick at one point when he first was a freshman at Boston College. So that's a possibility. And grabbing another receiver here if you do cut Goodwin there. So adding Victor, who actually in a way kind of reminds me of Bourne a little bit. So grabbing another one just in case. They do have a bunch of these. The guys, but my kind of philosophy in this draft is don't leave this draft without taking one of these receivers. It's kind of sounds ridiculous, but it's really my thinking here. I mean, some of these receivers are so good. There's going to be a darn good one there at pick 222 right there at Benjamin Victor. And yeah, he's got some upside there. Could add another one. They do have some guys with some injury concerns. Not bringing Sanders back, cutting. Making some cuts there, and hopefully, I'm really excited to see. I mean, Deebo Samuel, I love, guys like that. Obviously, I'm excited to see, but Jalen Hurd, somebody that I'm really excited to see here. Hopefully, he can stay on the field, but. Yeah, not a whole bunch of draft capital, but not a whole bunch of cap space, but you don't really need it. That's the good thing for the Niners, but at the same time, everybody wants to change some things up a little bit every offseason, no matter how good you were. You want to get additions. You want to get better every single offseason. Even the Chiefs who won, even the Niners who don't have a whole bunch of needs, you want to get better. And I think a good example of that is Harrison Bryant, adding that tight end duo to that offense, I think could be sneaky good there. So somebody like that's somebody to look out for. Maybe not the biggest need, obviously, because they have a guy like George Kittle, but I think it'd be pretty important for them. So we'll see if they go that route. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Please like, comment, check out both of our channels, subscribe to both of our channels, check out our Twitter, Instagram, podcast. You'll find a link in the description, comments, all that. So please help us out by following all that. Would really appreciate it. That's going to do it for this one, though. Only one more of these videos to go. We got plenty of other free agency NFL draft coverage. Got you covered throughout the combine. So a lot going on here at the Goat House. That's going to do it, though. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.